Hi, I'm Ray. You may recognize me from Ready Mix Gaming, where I tell stories about games and what those titles meant to me. But I've also worked in the games industry for a decade at a variety of different publishers. Coatsink, Thunderful, Raw Fury, Perk Games. I've been a pocket gamer and even worked as a freelance games journalist for a long time, writing for newspapers and magazines. So as such, I've built up a lot of experience and had the privilege of working on many games you may have heard of, like Replace, Planet of Lana, Blueprints, The Seance of Blake Manor, Jurassic Park Aftermath, Moss, Call of the Sea, and many, many more. I've seen massive changes across the industry in the way that games are marketed, the way conversations have shifted, the things people look for, and had the amazing privilege to work with so many talented people from all over the world. It's given me plenty of perspective, and it's a big reason why I set up my own consultation, because I had such a great experience to draw from. For years, I just wasn't really sure how I was going to be able to contribute. So there's already so many big, amazing voices out there doing such good work, saying amazing things, that I kind of wondered, what is it that I think that I can offer? And why would that be helpful? So for me personally, because I have this experience of working across multiple publishers who all have different ways of working, they've got unique goals and aspirations, they've got diverse portfolios. This has just given me an opportunity to work with major platform holders as well on many different genres, whether that's a real-time strategy game or a first-person shooter, that's a puzzle game or a sports game. I've just been coming, it's given me a unique perspective on things. But the reason I've ended up kind of working on this channel and thinking about doing this is I've become a little bit frustrated with some of the advice that I have been seeing out there. And most importantly, the advice that people are listening to. Let's be blunt about this for a second. In the age of AI, where people are putting commands into ChatGPT and getting strategies out the other side, or people are working off marketing strategies that were relevant a decade ago, I think voices like mine can be and still are important. So that's why I've set up channel number 2. If you want gaming related content, let's plays, personal stories, deep dives, you should absolutely keep continuing to watch and support Ready Mix Gaming, as I'll be continuing to post there. But if you're looking for indie game analysis, marketing tips, tricks, strategies, and subject matter deep dives, welcome to Ready Mix Consult's own YouTube channel. This is just going to be me talking to you on the camera, one takes, hopefully some valuable insights to share. And I figured I would kick all of this off today with a more general video that immediately goes at odds with a lot of the advice that I've been seeing. And that is the honest, whole truth that there is no one way to market your indie game. I see it all the time. Comment on my posts and I'll send you my proven deck of strategies that will absolutely guarantee you 100,000 wishlists by the end of the week. If you do this one strategy, you are going to dominate Steam Next Fest and everyone is going to talk about your game. If you're not posting on social media every day, 3 times a day, and basically being a full-time content creator, you're going to fail. The thing is, there are kernels of truth in all of these points, but most often these marketeers are coming from a place of they've seen this method work one time on one very specific type of game and automatically assuming that that is the blanket strategy for every game. It's not. As someone who has worked on a lot of different indie games, you need to treat each strategy individually. And that shouldn't really be a surprise to anyone, but unfortunately, I do still feel it needs to be said. Let's break this down into some hard numbers and data. 21,397 games launched on Steam in 2025. As of recording of this video, 12,887 games have released on Steam so far in 2026, just over halfway through the year. In the June Steam Next Fest just gone, there were close to 5,000 demos that went live. And the wildest thing about that is more than the total games that released on Steam in 2016, just 10 years ago. So when I say that strategies are evolving and changing all the time, they are. What even worked last year, realistically, may not even be the right approach anymore. And we're just looking at Steam for the moment, but if you're unfamiliar, basically Steam's infrastructure changes all the time. All the time, we get so many emails about it. Like last year, they randomly dropped demo pages on us where folks can now review your demo, putting it into overwhelmingly positive or mixed or whatever it might be. And that's a massive fundamental shift in how to feed the Steam algorithm. And this year, there are now more curated lists where Steam gives you games that are based on titles you've played before or what it thinks you might like. 8-week personalized release calendars. And then, of course, they've got a whole AI game policy now. So when people are telling you a strategy is definitely going to work because they did it on a game that released however long ago, nobody can guarantee that. In fact, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you, when it comes to Steam, nobody can guarantee you anything. So instead, what I think might be useful are some learnings that I've had working in games for 10 years and on a varied lineup of titles. Things that I've discovered, things that have helped me, and of course you're always free to ask any questions in the comments, and if the topic is big enough, it might even get its own video. So first up, and this might be the most obvious on what I've just said, be lean and flexible. Now what do I mean by that? You might be watching this as someone who has a marketing budget to spend. Maybe it's 25k, 50k, 300,000, maybe it's more, or maybe you've got nothing at all. I've worked in all kinds of scenarios, but the key consistent thing I have found has been to adapt to the situation. So for example, if you do have a budget and you decided to apply it into paid media and you found a good rhythm doing this where your wish lists are gradually ticking over and people are visiting your store page, maybe keep investing in that bit by bit. And if you have a big spend, perhaps you could put a bigger chunk behind it. It sounds obvious, but any method of success that you see for your game, you should continue to explore it. In that regard, you've already done half the work. You've found an angle. You've found a way to break through the noisiness. And clearly something you're doing is working. At the same time, don't be afraid to experiment a little bit. Do a few different copy options. Tweak the wording here and there. Maybe find alternative hooks that could get people to click. Look at the assets you're using. Do they have calls to action? Should they? Have you done a couple of different cut downs of your trailer? Maybe rearrange it somewhat. What words are you using? Think about whether you want people to play or wishlist or visit or learn more. Wording is critical in these spots and can make a massive difference as to whether a person clicks or not. On the same route with paid ads, look at the territories you're targeting and link that up with territories that are wishlisting your game. If you're seeing a spike from a certain part of the world, put some more investment in it. And maybe even localize some copy specifically. It's also worth looking to see if your Steam page is localized in that language, or if you have a healthy enough budget. It could even be worth localizing the entire game into that language. You've clearly found an interest and broken through somewhere. It's worth exploiting that for as much as you can. One thing I don't see enough of are people having an international strategy for their games. And by leaving that on the table, it's quite possible you're missing the most important piece of your puzzle. If I want you to take one thing away from this video, is that you need to think about every game's marketing strategy differently. Some games are very visually appealing and will immediately draw people in. Art and visuals play a massive role in this day and age for getting players to even look at your game. And with all the titles that are releasing, frankly, the way that the Steam library is at the minute, you need all the help you can get to stand out. Because if you've got no momentum behind you, your wish lists are low, no one's visiting the page, you don't have any external traffic, and the game, quite frankly, just isn't standing out enough from the rest of the crowd, Steam will not help you. They will not do enough to boost you. You will find the game can get very, very quickly buried as there are so many games on the platform now. And what people also do seem to forget is you're still actually in direct competition with games from 5, 10, even 15 years ago with all the regular sales that happen. This is not... Don't think of it as going into a shop where the new shiny product is always the thing that's featured on the top shelf. Player habits have also changed. Players are reverting to free games more and more. They're still spending so much of their time in Fortnite and Roblox. They're still playing Minecraft. These are not new games anymore. They're going for cheaper games that they can play with their friends, like your friend slot titles. So a striking key art is one thing, but you also need to have serious thoughts around price, being market competitive, and even what makes your game different. Why are you special? And that doesn't necessarily mean you need to have the most unique genre mashup of all times, but you do need to know what you do very well. This is such an interesting time for the games industry because there are tools out there so that anyone can make a game. Even me, code illiterate me. RPG Maker, Unity, Godot, Game Maker. You have so many options now, even Twine. But the real thing is making something that people will actually vibe with and getting interest, or if you're fortunate, investment in that, which is where the role of a publisher comes in and how they can support you, what they will ask for, how the relationship and the dynamics work. And then the industry itself is tiered with a AAA mindset, AA, independent, even hard indie games with things fluctuating and changing all the time. The rules are, there almost are no rules anymore. Almost. So what I would say to anyone, before you pick up and make a game, before you get too far down the rabbit hole, just ask yourself, what is it you want to make? Sense check it. Is this something people would want to play, or are you just making this for you? Again, that's a totally valid reason to work on something, so I'm not demeaning that in any way, shape or form. But I think it's something that you need to understand. And if you want this to be a success that sustains you, treat this like a job. Look at your competitors. Build a compelling story. Think about your characters. Find clever hooks. And from the very beginning of your project, think about marketing. Which is the last point that I want to bring up for this general video. Please, please, please don't leave marketing right to the end. I know it's not a fun subject for some people. I know some people find it really hard to talk about themselves or what they do or what they think is interesting, but you can't expect a game to do anything if you're leaving it all to the last minute. Again, I know this might sound obvious, but I have seen and heard of stories of people making and finishing a game and then deciding to do a marketing campaign of 2 weeks at the end, thinking that's going to be enough. Then they release their game. Spoiler alert, it was not enough. Think about marketing from the very day that you start. Treat it as part of your entire campaign. Do your own research. Show you understand the market. Bring receipts to people to show why your game should be interesting. Work out what your hooks are. Tell your audience a story about yourself. Do it through devlogs. Show your personality on social media. Take on some AMAs. Go to events and get some peer feedback. Or find a Discord where you can comfortably connect with folks. All these things might sound scary, worrisome, dull even. But we are in such a crowded market here. This is not the games industry of 10 years ago where indie was still finding its feet. Now we have dozens of games coming out every week, every day even. And with AI tools, frankly, that's just going to balloon even more. The reality is things are only going to get more diluted, which is where marketing is now more important to your success than it has ever been before. I have lots of videos in mind that can really deep dive into particular subjects, but for now, I just wanted to give a more general introduction, an overview as to what this channel is about and what I want to offer. But also, I'm very interested to hear what you are looking for. I know there's so many incredible talks out there from amazing people and so much good advice, probably much more articulate than I'll ever be. But the key takeaway I'd want you to take from this video is be very, very careful of where you take that advice from. Even me, which I shouldn't be saying, but truly think about the value and currency of that advice. Everyone has different experiences and wisdom to impart, but equally, some advice does not come from a place where your best interests are being looked out for. Often, in fact, some of that advice ends up to the benefit more of the person giving it than the one receiving, especially if there's a price attached to it. Which is an important thing for me to say is I do run a consultancy, and this is where this channel has spun up from. So I want to be open and honest about that up front. But I didn't create this channel necessarily to get new business. I'm always open to a chat from developers and publishers, whoever it might be, if they think I can help in some way. But the general rule here with this channel is to perhaps challenge some of the things that I've been seeing that aren't really factoring in the full picture, and hopefully, most importantly, help some of you in the process. I've already got some thoughts of the next videos that I want to share. I don't have a specific timetable for those, so I'll post those up as and when. But do let me know if this was helpful, useful, and what subjects you want to hear more about. The next videos will be much more in depth on specific subjects, less general, and there'll be much more analysis and insights. But this is just a starting point, and I just want to introduce myself, say hi, and just give you a bit of a flavour for what's to come. So thank you, welcome, hopefully see you next time.